Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. I am going to read some poetry, some of my own poetry. I know I just did that recently, but I thought I would take a little trip down memory lane. I've received my first issue of a new magazine that I've subscribed to. I don't really expect much from it after looking at it, but with the onset of the presidency of Donald Trump, I thought I should try to support media a little bit, and there was a good deal. Over the years, I occasionally would subscribe to The Nation. I would also occasionally subscribe to The Economist. It would be one or the other. And with gaps of years in between. And I was shocked to begin with to see a glossy cover. Back in the days, they didn't have a glossy cover. And then, my God, it's just the most gaudy magazine I've ever seen. I mean, the front part is okay, although the way the type is set here, it looks so amateurish. In the old days, they used to have designers to do this kind of stuff. But now I think anybody can use a computer and they just kind of fiddle around with it. Obviously probably somebody came up with a template that they thought was good. Democracy dies in prime time. I haven't really read too much. The only article so far that looks like it's reasonably well written is one. Well, let me see if I can find it. Of course, I've been trying to find it. Is one by somebody named David A. Bell. It looks like it's pretty well written. The rest of the stuff that I've looked at just doesn't seem all that interesting. And then, I mean, just look at how poorly done this is. I mean, I guess somebody thinks it's good. It's a good look with the stupid font they're using. I think it's specific to the article. They're trying to make some kind of point. And they never used to have all these photos either. I think the last time I got they had expanded their use of images in the interior. And then, oh my God, look at this. Just how ugly. I mean, same trick, but with a different font. Oh, and the page is coming out already. That's fine. I mean, you would think they could do something to make it more appealing to the eye. A very impressive person right here, though. You've got to admit that. Oh, you know, I mean, and then you've got the stripes down the side. I mean, pretty bad. Anyhow, you don't really care about this, I suppose. At least the one good thing is at the back, they used to have some kind of stupid game that was like a crossword puzzle, but not. I say stupid, but I was the stupid one because I could never figure it out. But I'll be having this come for a year to sort of document the shit that's going on. You realize that this kind of stuff is way in arrears. I mean, it's way behind the times already. I think there's there's one thing, she's biting my arm right now. There's one thing that says something about the first 3 weeks of the presidency. So, but I'm sure a lot of it was written even before that, because it seems practically irrelevant. So, back in the day, in 1998, I did my big poem, The Requiem, which sort of talked about how things were going to be coming to a head. Something was going to be dying, let us say. And I thought, well, when you write a big poem like that, you're done with poetry. You've reached the pinnacle. That's what I thought. So that was February of 1998. And I set about trying to get the thing published, and it came out, I think in 99, late in 99, like November of 99, something like that. But I was done writing, I was sure of that. In 2001, September 1st, terrorists flew jetliners into the World Trade Center towers, and the buildings fell down. And I immediately proposed a peaceful response instead of an enraged one, but the public mood, goaded on by our politicians, incited rage, I guess you would say, encouraged and incited. But this was published because I was already in the mode of publishing. I had this one out, and I think my book of sonnets was out. So it was I think Embodiment and Release as well. And then I was going to put out The Soul's Refinement, and I interrupted it and had this one come out. There's my dog. So I'll just read a couple. These are very short poems. Subdued eroticism of those who attack. 'Twere better that they go and love, which is their lack. To go and love each other rather than hating me, for each to each is brother, father in family. Though me and mine have been reviled, rebuked, rejected, let's take the admonition mild and stand corrected. Insofar that we have been proud, though less than they, and leave off petty boastings loud we made today. Non-specific, the accuser, nor the explicit definition of the charge, I guess. At this point, one could say being a liberal, since we have been reviled, rebuked, and rejected pretty much. The Buddha sits above the crowd in meditation, his head enwrapped in misty cloud and contemplation. Upon this rainy autumn day, so many come. He sits unmoved, we pass away. He shows us home. So that was the kind of thing that I did. The felling of the World Trade Center towers brought me out of retirement. So this was published in 2002. I realized it was foolish to have retired, though I have done so again. Well, Michael Jordan retired and then went back to play again. And then he went to play baseball. Well, I have certainly retired from poetry, but now I am playing booktube. Except I'm going to take some days off, so I will be dark. So the book that followed up immediately was called Fascist Heart, and this was in 2002, I think. Yeah, I have a copyright of 2003, but it was written in 2002. It was the first one after that. And the heart says, I mean, the title says it all, Fascist Heart. This is a photograph coming out of the subway in Washington, D.C. Death and dementia crashes down upon the head, turning a wise man to a clown and hope to dread. These are the days of slander and of rich deceit, treachery that no reprimand will ever meet. Somebody will tell me death and dementia crashes is grammatically incorrect. Okay. Another thing that I've often been criticized for was the use of these and thous and different outmoded forms of words, conjugations, but it is always the poet's prerogative not to care. Me thou hast murdered, as I die your eyes avert, afraid to witness villainy, your soul's own dirt. Me thou hast slaughtered, me defiled, but the while I was not by deceit beguiled, although you smile. Unquiet will remain the dreams as haunt your night, because your truth elsewise beseems, nor masks your plight. Hunted and hounded, held by hell's perpetual stagnation, there is little else to set you well. I was looking for the poem that mentions Jan Karski in here and could not find it. But this next one shows traces of my reading in Karski. Against the fascist spring up cells in opposition, for in the lone heart goodness dwells without partition. Then, though it die or it succumb, party of one in its endeavors, never numb conscience hath won. That party of one is a reference to Dante Alighieri, the poet, who was isolated and ostracized, I guess. That's how it goes. Exiled from Florence. So this big book is a big first-person thing. It doesn't really qualify, I think, as an epic because it's a first-person story recounting experiences. In one case, there's a whole chapter devoted to a dream. And I wanted to try something that was more close to an epic, as close to an epic as I could make it. And so that was this one. If this talks about the dissolution of everything, this talks about the coming back, the resurgence, if you will, and perhaps I should have just called it the resurgence instead of this bad title. I'll just read a couple more poems from along the way. This was, I think this was also 2002. So I got out of sequence here, I guess, because this was 2003. But this was still 2002, but that's okay. This one is titled Liberty Falls with a Thud. It has been said dictatorships first burn the books, then people. From bad to worse, the censor's grips first burn the books, then people. When first the rulers try to stifle expression, it may seem a trifle. Then through the meekest thought they rifle, first burn the books, then people. First freedom feared to congregate, first burn the books, then people. Then freedom to communicate, first burn the books, then people. When mobsters want to have their sway in government, so they must play with information's access, they first burn the books, then people. The consequence be feared when men first burn the books, then people. 'Tis unopposed discussion, then first burn the books, then people. To nip oppression in the bud, when words are banned, prepare for blood, or else, as liberty fall thud, first burn the books, then people. Well, I think liberty has pretty much fallen thud already. So that was, what did I say, 2002? It's taken a couple of decades to get there, but it was on the way already. This is titled Soul Transcendent. Catastrophe, calamity will come, and you pull through by cold, hard luck, or else get stuck with nothing you may do to save your skin because you're in too deep for any rescue, when all the fates that God creates do nothing but burlesque you. These are the times you pray your crimes by heaven be annulled. These are the seasons when no reasons will come, though deeply mulled. These are the moments when no comments seem adequate to cover, because the mess may not regress until all life be over. When all life breaks, you pull your stakes and cling no more to breath, because the worst must be traversed, the waiting door to death. Prepare your spirit now to clear it, and early make amends. Soul independent, be transcendent. Life all too swiftly ends. So this is called Bestial Ballads, and it deals a little bit with resistance. Now I've said during the course of after the invasion of Iraq commenced, I was publishing things under my pseudonym, I Am Small, and I collected them all into a book, just things thrown off or dashed off, you might say. I just thought I would pull some of these. Why not? This one is titled Democracy Dying. I heard the mermaids singing, each to each, and Shakespeare's sonnets ringing, Stacy Keach. But like a whale marooned upon a beach, you never heard, blood-curdling, such a screech. Democracy is dying, oh, and men on shore are vying, oh, to get some blubber, blubber, blubber. Of that there's no denying, oh. If human voices waked us and we drowned, would it be perishing without a sound? Would we be inhospitably dumbfound to see it staked, harpooned, marooned, and bound? Democracy is dying, oh, from fraud, deceit, and lying, oh, for souls no scrubber, 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 though teeth will gnash midst sighing, oh. I see a date of 2007 here. I'm trying to choose things that are suitable to my mood today. Liberties forsaken. Lower the flags upon their masts, because the war's enthusiasts have killed by their vituperative blasts of malice and of slander, feeling of common bond, their lack of candor crossed loyalty beyond. Salute no more the flying rag, the home team colors for to brag, which used it for a garbage bag. With slander and with malice, my countrymen did let their hearts turn callous, liberties to forget. Oh. Yeah, this really fits the bill in a certain way too. This is called The Sea of Incompetence. This sea of incompetence. The willow weeps, but not as much as I weep for my country. Perhaps the fate of mankind will depend on the Chinese. The world has many mouths, but sparse, depleted is the pantry. And how can one survive amongst incompetents as these? 'Tis not lack of ability that makes my brethren fail, but lack of good priority and laziness, alas. For all go seeking money over hill and over dale, expending so much trouble heading off each other's pass. It stirs up straw dog issues that cannot amount to much, each riling himself up about another person's wrong, invading other countries, never fearful of a putsch, when evil homeland forces grow domestic, shady strong. My country fails excessively to turn the other cheek, but hardly seems to fail to turn away its moral eye, while snide subversive forces plot in secret and oblique, yet not too secret, which is cause sufficient for to cry. Of course, the most immediate document of the plotting was the Project 2025 tome, but the plotting had ensued even before that, and as the poem suggests, it was never covert. Trump and his minions said exactly what they were going to do. And once again, you do have to wonder, is it the rife stupidity of this whole segment of America, or is it their unchecked malice, which is the worst burden upon the rest of us? I have loosed my tongue a little bit from watching a guy named Hawk. He's an attorney in the San Francisco area. I get more useful information from his videos on YouTube and TikTok, I suppose, than anything I've found in here. This is just a real short one about the neocons, and it's titled, I mean, I should say, as much as Liz Cheney and her ilk lament the coming of Trump, it was their faction that set this all up, and they own it. It is not to say, of course, that the Democrats are blameless either. But this poem specifically is about the neocons, and it has a title of The Neocons. Nature they loathed, and next to nature, art. They strove with all worth more than their strife. They worshipped cash and gave it all their heart. So cold they lived, and cold departed life. One of the videos, and in fact I'll put it into the description box, that this guy Hawk posted, was of a guy belonging to this organization called the Proud Boys. They were on the scene at the time of the insurrection attempt at the Capitol. Police officers lost their lives. I believe they were pummeling them with flag poles and stuff. I'm not saying particularly the Proud Boys were this group, but members of this mass gang of thuggery did. And it just so happened I was writing a book of ballades at the time, a new poetic form new to me. I mean, I'm sure I had seen them here or there, but never really gave much thought to tackling the form. It's a form with a fair amount of repetition. And so I wrote one about these guys. I think in my original manuscript I called it the Ballade of the Proud Boys, but come publication I changed it to Ballade of the Poor Boys, because really the Proud Boys are poor boys. Oh, anyhow, the video showed one of these Proud Boys in the vestibule of some building while some police officer who I think had been injured in the attacks at the Capitol, this Proud Boy guy was cursing him and uttering all kinds of now I can't think of the word. Just I'm thinking of all the other words but the word I want. Let us just say imprecations. I draw that from the Keats poem, but I can't think of the word I want. So talk about people being reviled. This Proud Boy was real proud in reviling this officer who was trying to protect his country. You remember that the mob wanted to go in and assassinate their governmentally elected officials. Nancy Pelosi among them. Later on, somebody did make an attempt at the house of Nancy Pelosi and injured her husband. But fortune prevailed and our elected representatives escaped. Even the vice president escaped Mike Pence, who they were trying to murder at Donald Trump's instigation. I think they even had erected a gallows outside, possibly a symbolic gallows. But their intentions were pretty clear that they wanted to kill all of the elected officials because they did not want to accept the results of the election. So I wrote a poem about these Proud Boys. They call themselves, so it's Ballade of the Poor Boys. The poor boy, I think, is a sandwich, isn't it? And you look at these Proud Boys and you know they've eaten a sandwich or two. Ballade of the Poor Boys. They call themselves the Proud Boys, more a gang of riled-up rowdies than the files and ranks of organized militia, men who hang loosely together, not as a phalanx of soldiers fit for more than childish pranks, but daddies armed with guns and heavy chips shoulder-borne, mediocre mountebanks, wishing with women they could come to grips. Each loads his pistol and shoots bang, 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 and their artillery is never blanks. But mostly they parade full kit, harangue peaceable passers-by whom they call wanks, then weep for getting no respect nor thanks, ever obscenities upon their lips pronouncing victimhood. A bunch of cranks wishing with women they could come to grips. More boys than men, they speak yet in the slang of persons they profess to hate. She stanks, they say, same ole, or it's no thang. But then linguistically they hie their shanks, because smart erudition them outflanks, wherefore they rage, unable to make quips, and wish they had flame-throwers, mortars, tanks, wishing with women they could come to grips. They long for pirate days, when there were planks to walk your captives off, but fingertips gripped round a trigger, they long to give spanks, wishing with women they could come to grips. And I will close out with one of the most clicked upon poems at my page back. I think this was probably one of the last ones that I posted. My site began as just a diversion, an amusement to while away the time instead of looking at the news about the campaign between Biden and Trump. And I kept on posting poems through till the riot at the Capitol, the attempted overthrow. And it was fortunate, I suppose, that I happened to be writing a book at the time. You have to, there's that poem by Blake about he who catches joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise, or something like that. The same is true about catching the inspiration of the muse. You have to be there and you just have to catch the moment. And so it was with this. I was very fortunate that I happened to be writing something at the time. So they're one of the people who was trying to get in to join part in the general mayhem and slaughter, although that idea may not have been foremost in her mind because she was a very confused person, was named Ashley Babbitt. And as they broke their way through the glass, one of the guards on duty shot and killed her. So this is her ballad. It's called Ballad of Ashley Babbitt. She was a traitor to her country, shot attempting to subvert the Capitol, yet emblematic of a greater rot, corrupting of a nation heart and soul, exponent of a cause none dare extol openly, which was present at the birth of government, a kind of protocol which presupposes white skin higher worth. It may be she deserved the death she got, herself striving to harm, no falderall, the mission she was on, no waif-like tot. And yet, in life akin to gangster's maul, she too was victim of false vitriol. National failure. Bury her in the earth under a tear field, dead for motive droll, which presupposes white skin higher worth. The education of the land did not teach her to think, but rather, like a doll, spew forth invective, senseless, overwrought, yet proudly wore, like any girasol, ignorance on display, one taught to loll amongst a poppy field of endless birth, in perfumed fantasy, perched on a knoll, which presupposes white skin higher worth. Pale skin worth more than others? Alcohol could not yield such a high and giddy mirth. In death such ideology takes its toll, which presupposes white skin higher worth. That's ultimately what it all boils down to, in it. And I think either of those words, vitriol or invective, would have served me when I was looking for a word. I knew it was some kind of a V word. and it just wouldn't come. But there it is. Vitriol and invective. And that sort of encapsulates the moment where I feel we find ourselves now. Like a girasol, that's a gem. It's a gem. It's the kind of gem that the famous crime fighter, the Shadow, used to wear. And indeed, this crew does wear their ignorance proudly as an ornament. That's the times in which we live. So thank you for stopping by my channel, and I am not going to go dark permanently. I need some wood to knock on. Well, I'll knock on wood. Books are from wood. But I will be on hiatus for a little bit. I am trying to keep focused on what is happening in this country, my country being the United States of America, as the government and common sense and civility and decency have become completely untethered, unmoored. So we are out to sea at the mercy of the waves. Somebody once said that the act of starting a war is like jumping on the back of a tiger. You can do it, but you don't know where it's going to lead. And so is the same with what is occurring now. These fellows, including these Proud Boy fellows that are behind or that are initiating this whole movement of Donald Trump on behalf of the millionaire class, they don't know what sort of forces will be loosed, what they have loosed. We are on an ocean now, and none of us is exempt from forces of the storm. They thought they might control events, and they have their limited amount of control to certainly wreak havoc and wreak harm, particularly upon innocents. But they're indiscriminate. The only, I suppose, silver lining to this cloud is that there are some MAGA supporters that are suffering along with the innocents. The MAGA supporters and the voters for Donald Trump and for this regime do not deserve any sympathy. None at all. They know what they were voting for. They were both bad people and malicious, very malicious. And others seem to think, and I think even philosophy would agree, that stupidity is worse than malice, but I personally abhor the malice most of all. So I will leave it there. Once again, thank you for stopping by my channel.